Begin tonight with wild moments on a bus in Queens leading to what is now a viral video. Look at this. You can see it here. Teens going on the attack. One has a machete there while the other seen using pepper spray.
Yeah, the driver trying to intervene and is now home recovering. Pix 11's Anthony DiLorenzo has a story from Richmond Hill where police have arrested one of the teenagers.
So over the weekend, a viral video was posted on the South Ozone Park Facebook page that actually showed an incident that has occurred only a few weeks into the New York City school year involving teens with machetes getting into an altercation on a city bus. And in this particular story, the bus driver actually intervened. Now, of course, the local news media covering this story has decided that they are going to blur the faces of the teens that participated in this viral video. I find this to be ridiculous because, as we are going to find out throughout the course of the segment, only one of these teens has been identified and arrested at this moment in time. And if the point of sharing the video on the Facebook page was to figure out who these weapon-wielding teenagers are that are attacking classmates on a school bus, then redacting the faces of those teenagers makes no sense at all whatsoever. In addition to that, I will also point out that most of the suspects in this particular case are wearing COVID masks, which, by the way, they should not be wearing in current year 2025 when you're under the age of 18, the least likely demographic to actually die from said virus. But apparently, even though this is obviously a way to conceal the identity of these teens, of these youths, it is just permitted to go on across our city, and of course to make law enforcement's job much more difficult in actually making these arrests. Now, of course, I'm going to give credit to the bus driver in this particular case. Oftentimes, the bus driver is told not to get involved, not to intervene, just kind of let things play out. However, this bus driver actually did get involved, and it appears that he was pepper sprayed by one of the girls in this group for his trouble. So we wish him a good recovery, but also I wish he would come forward so we can give him some kind of Good Samaritan award. But I understand his hesitancy because the last time we had a famous Good Samaritan try to break up a crime on public transit, that person went on trial for murder. So we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to go to the Facebook page in question and pull the actual video so we can identify these kids and get them arrested. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Teenage troubles going full tilt here at this bus stop after school in Queens, where a machete and a can of mace were used as weapons on a bus.
What I see is kids that are out of control.
An after-school fight spiraling out of control on Atlantic Avenue and Lefferts Boulevard, with the bus driver caught in the middle.
So I love the euphemisms in this local news segment. This is labeled as an after-school fight, and as somebody who went through the New York City public school systems in an area that apparently was significantly better than Ozone Park, after-school fights usually involved fists being thrown. It usually involved one-on-one combat, at least in our particular school, because we had a modicum of honor when these things actually went down. However, in this particular case, we're talking about a knife versus a machete fight. And by the way, the local news media report that I'm highlighting right here does not report that the person that was in the bus actually had a knife on him as well. So we're in a crazy situation where these teens, these youths, appear to be getting into a deadly fight where both of them are armed with weapons just after school. So this happened just as these teens got out of class. So presumably, if they did not cut class, or if the guy grabbing the machete or the guy grabbing the knife did not pick it up from some kind of third location before this encounter, they had these weapons on them while they were attending a New York City public school. This is an absolute disaster, but as we've talked about on this channel multiple times, we have a bunch of soft on crime laws like bail reform, like less is more, but more importantly and more crucially in this particular instance, we have raised the age that actually makes it damn near impossible to hold youthful offenders accountable. And what we're seeing right here is a potential deadly encounter between a youth with a machete, a teen with a machete, and of course a youth with a knife on the bus. That, by the way, is not being highlighted in this local news segment, but we actually have video from within the bus, or actually I have video from within the bus from the Facebook page where you can could see where both bus doors are open, the guy in the bus, the one that's under threat, is pacing back and forth in order to try to fight off attackers from coming on the bus from either door with a knife in his hand.
Back up, back up. One of my days, back up. Back up or I'm cutting you. Back up or I'm cutting you. One of my days, back up. Back up. Get out, get out.
Now again, it might not be 100% clear right there, but you can actually see it in a couple of still frames. I'll try to highlight one for you so you could see it for yourself. So we have these youths that are described to be like under 16 years old, carrying deadly weapons on public transit, ready to go and get into a fight. And thankfully, in this particular instance, they didn't appear to be that serious about murdering each other, and the bus driver was able to intervene and tamp down the situation. However, this obviously was being talked about at the time that this crime occurred as a deadly force encounter, as the person who is labeled the victim by the local news affiliate says that they're trying to kill him.
Basically, someone was being chased. The kid was being chased onto his bus, and they were being chased by somebody with a machete.
You can see the 54-year-old then stepping off the Q24 bus to try and de-escalate the situation earlier this month.
He projected a presence in that moment that I believe saved a lot of people from getting hurt.
Alex Kemp is his union VP and says his fellow driver ultimately suffered the consequences and got maced in this instance, along with a teen in the video.
Now look, I don't know exactly how much this union rep knows about the particulars of the case, and especially when you have local news coverage like this that frames one of these youths as the absolute victim, not even acknowledging that he had a knife on him at the time this encounter occurred. And of course, they're talking about it like they just chased him. But what he's saying about the driver actually intervening, actually stepping up, using his size, even though he's a 54-year-old man and he could have easily stepped aside in order to intimidate the guy with the machete in order to prevent this from spiraling out of control, is 100% true and positive. And again, credit where credit is due to this man, who actually cares about his community to a certain extent, who actually ended up wanting to prevent a homicide from occurring. But in reality, it's totally understandable that many bus drivers wouldn't intervene. We obviously have the Daniel Penny example of why you should probably step back and not get involved, but also you could be seriously injured, you could be hurt. And by the way, this guy was pepper sprayed for his trouble.
We decided that it was in the best interest of the community to post that because the parents need to see what the kids are doing.
Sam Esposito's video went viral over the weekend after posting it on the Ozone Park Block Facebook page. He says social media sleuths have helped ID some of them. Monday, police arresting the 15-year-old machete-wielding boy in black. Some other teens who ran away still being sought.
The police have gotten all the videos, and we've gotten about 25 leads. And we sent those leads straight to the investigators at the 102 precinct.
Now, they interview the guy who ended up posting this video on his Facebook page, and they say that some of these people were able to be identified from the video, from the community bringing in tips. But of course, the local news media is still obscuring their faces. However, again, I have the video from the original Facebook page, and what you could see is that while most of these people are not needing of blurring because they're wearing COVID masks, so their face is obscured, the girl that did the pepper spray is laughing, smiling, having a good time, and of course doing the thing that we often see whenever we're talking about these crimes, which of course is recording the whole thing on her phone. Again, smiling ear to ear as somebody with a machete is ready to engage in mortal combat, which just goes to show you that the issue here is not poverty. We don't need to arrest poverty. We don't need to find where in this video poverty is so we can get a description of what poverty was wearing. We need to actually deal with the fact that we have sick, violent people who commit these crimes for fun. They do this for joy. And by the way, this is the girl that pepper sprayed the bus driver. This is the girl that pepper sprayed the other individual with a knife. And I guess you could make the case, you can make the argument that in a situation where we're dealing with the potential for mortal combat, maybe pepper spray is a significant downgrade. But considering a regular, ordinary, law-abiding New York citizen could get arrested for having pepper spray because that's a weapon and you're not allowed to defend yourself, I find it absolutely maddening that we have 3 youths with weapons on them, including the pepper spray. Bare minimum, by the way, there's probably more.
Go across the street. No.
And yet, the local news media is still blurring the faces. Again, look at how brazen of an attack this is. So this is in broad daylight after school. So we're talking in and around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a New York City public bus. They don't appear to care at all whatsoever that they're witnesses. And yet the news media is protecting the identities of the people who have yet to be caught. So yeah, I'm leaving this up here. I want you guys to identify them, report them to the police, make sure there's some actual consequences. But also, I need you to understand that this is New York City. We have crazy laws like bail reform. So even the kid with the machete was likely not charged seriously. He was likely released the next day automatically. And if he's on probation or on parole for previous criminal activity, that probation or parole was likely not violated due to the fact that we have less is more. But this is what we're dealing with right here in New York City. And we're on the cusp of electing a guy, Zoran Mamdani, I'm definitely not voting for him, that is going to enable this, that doesn't believe in any prosecutions, basically, against people that are under the age of 18, who wants to get these people into diversion programs, wants them in midnight basketball, because he really thinks that the major problem right here is not the teenagers with machetes that's pepper sprayed a bus driver that are trying to commit murder on a New York City bus. The real issue is poverty. The real issue is systemic inequality. The real issue is having a police force that actually tracks them down, that actually makes an arrest, that actually holds them accountable. That would be evil white racism. So what he needs you to do is shut up with your evil white racism. It's absolutely shameful what's going on in the city. It's ridiculous that people continue to obscure the identities of criminals that are still on the loose based on the idea that we're not sure about their age because they haven't been identified yet, while they could impact and threaten other people. I mean, what if they end up encountering this kid in another situation and that kid gets stabbed to death or gets injured significantly? What if the kid with the knife on the bus that they're not even really telling us anything about, they're not even revealing that he had a knife as well, is the actual aggressor, the main aggressor in this, and he ends up taking vengeance on a member of this group, and that ultimately ends up leading to somebody dying? Well, guess what? The chances of that are going up significantly, because guess what? These youths are having their identities covered by the local news media when they're on the run. Again, it would be completely different if they were all captured. We all understand that youthful offenders are treated differently, but when they're on the run, when they're a serious, continuous, ongoing threat to society, and you have access to the unredacted footage, this is a step that makes no sense. And by the way, the media is going in the wrong direction. They're now saying that they won't actually show you video of people's faces, even if they're on the run, unless they're charged with a crime, which again makes no sense at all, because if they're on the run, we need to capture them and then they can be charged with the crime. You're also not attaching the name to the face in these scenarios. You're just trying to figure out who this person is so that they could be held accountable. But that's not how the media plays. They always got to cover it up. They always got to hide it. They don't want you to look into whether or not these people fit certain demographics in the city of New York, which, by the way, based on the video, for those of you who assumed immediately that all of these youths were black, doesn't appear to be the case. A lot of them look Latino, or even some of them might look South Asian, if we're being perfectly honest, but, you know, can't really place them. The only definitely black person that I was able to spot in this video is the bus driver, who did the right thing, who did the noble thing. But again, if these happen to be illegal aliens or gang members that are Latin affiliated or something of the sort, they want to obscure that as well, and it's absolutely shameful. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a machete attack 2 weeks into the school year in New York City. Till next time.